So this is a speaker meeting. Our speaker will share her experience, strength, and hope for approximately 45 minutes. We ask out of respect for our speaker to please remain seated until she has finished. It is my pleasure to introduce Diana. Thank you. Is that good right there? You need it down more?
All right. Hi, my name's Diana, and I am an alcoholic. My sobriety date is May 26, 1992. I know it is a big deal, isn't it? It amazes me because when I see people get up and get their month chip or the, up to 3-year chip, I'm always just so touched because I wouldn't do that when I first got sober. Well, when I got sober, because I didn't want you guys to know that I didn't have, I don't know, like the chick in the back, who's got 5 years, and you're like, no freaking way. There's just no way. And okay, here's my background. I grew up in a big Hispanic family, and we drank for everything. If it was sad, we drank. If it was a happy thing, we drank. If it was a baptismal, we drank. Whatever. And I had an alcoholic father. And my brother and I, and I have a sister younger than I, but my brother and I were very close, and there was a time in my dad's drinking where he switched from being the really good dad, playing ball with us, showing us football, all that stuff, and he got real violent. And I think we were in high school when that started happening. Anyway, there was a lot of abuse in the house, and my brother and I vowed that we would never become an alcoholic and treat our children that way. So of course we did. I got married while I was in high school. I was in student council, I was in band, I was, in all the groups and all that kind of stuff. Mainly, I found out through therapy, was to stay out of the house. So I got married, was pregnant, had my baby when I was 18. And I thought life was going to be great. This is going to be great. And it was. I mean, I worked hard, and you got to remember, this was in the mid-'70s, early '80s. This was the era of work hard, party hard, and loved it, man. It was, disco. Oh my God, I was like the disco queen. And I found tequila. There was a song. I love tequila. I dance on the tables and shoot my gun out. I mean, the whole song was about the way I drank, and I loved tequila. I loved wine. I loved not so much beer, but if that's all that was there, that's what I drank. I would have beer. I mean, I'm not that hoity-toity. So the other thing too was back in the 70s and 80s, I worked in narcotics in the legal field, and I got to ask, how many are just strictly alcoholics in this room? Oh, good. Okay, so I was a drunk, and they let me take care of the drugs because I had no desire for, and I lived in Yuma, and at that time, that's when they were importing tons of cocaine, marijuana, kilos of heroin, and I had no desire to be around that stuff. But in 1983, in August, I had half a joint. And it messed up my alcohol buzz. And I remember flicking it off. I said, this is bad stuff. And I just didn't care for it. I didn't like the feeling it gave me. So much better just to get drunk. And the thing about my drinking is that I'm a binge drinker. So I could be really good for a week, 2 weeks. I'm working hard, I'm getting stuff done, all that kind of stuff. But if I knew there was a 3-day weekend coming up, I'm planning, which means I deserve to be able to get wasted. My first husband and I, we used to have these big parties, and all that kind of stuff, and there were keggers, and there was bottles of wines and tequila and all that stuff, and we would party pretty much all 3 days, and that was my life. And then my dad died from this disease, And my brother started getting really sick. So he kept drinking the way we were both drinking. But because of all that stuff that was going on, the lying, the cheating, the manipulation, the being gone for periods of time, I got to work out, outside of town a lot of times on special assignments. So that's all I did was drink while I was out. And I finally just tore apart that marriage. Now, I'm divorced. I'm working in the legal field here in Prescott. I loved Whiskey Row. Man, I thought that whole avenue was just for me. So I drank a lot there. And I start dating. I date this guy, and it took like forever to go to bed with him. But he, every night he would take me to the door, and he'd shake my hand, or he'd give me a little kiss. I'm like, this dude's either married or gay. I mean, because that's not what I'm used to. I mean, you know how alcoholics' minds work is that let's have sex and we'll get married and then have children and then, ruin each other's lives. That's my kind of love. So this guy's very, very nice to me and he's always calm and he's very sweet and all this stuff. And finally the big day happened. And afterwards he said, Diana, I just want you to know I'm a sober alcoholic. Now, this is my alcoholic mind. I will never have to give him my alcohol, share my beer, my wine, my tequila. This guy's a winner. I'm going to keep this guy. That's my alcoholic thinking. Not that it's, the correct way of thinking. So I marry him. And we've been married for 32 years. I love my husband, John. But he's watched me go. See, he didn't understand that I drank alcoholically because I never drank more than 2 glasses of wine around him. And I would wait till he went home, and then I would finish the rest of my box of wine or my bottle of tequila or whatever I had. And I kept it that way. I was trying to protect him. And he suggested one night, would you like to come to an open meeting and just see what's going on, what has affected my life and how I live my life. I said, sure, I'll go. What time is it? It's going to be at 5:30. Great. How long does it last? About an hour. Good. Because I'm thinking in my head, okay, I can get home by 7:30. I've got a white box of wine, and I got a little bit of wine from the last night that I had left, and so I'm going to be able to balance it out. So that's how I lived with John first. And, going to an AA meeting when you're not, quote, the alcoholic, the one that has to go or should go or needs to go, you guys are tremendous. You're lovely people. You're wonderful. You're so huggy and kissy and sweet, and you treat everybody nice. Now, let me tell you, Memorial Day weekend, let me back up a minute. 9 months before, my brother died from this disease. He died on his 33rd birthday. And how many people have been affected by death because of alcohol or drugs? You think that would give us a message, don't you? Like, this stuff is serious. So my brother dies, and I remember telling God, I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want you in my life. I'm done. I'm done with this. So going from a binge drinker to now, I'm drinking every day. Enough so I can fall asleep. And John doesn't know what to do. And he starts, talking to his people in AA and his sponsor and all that kind of stuff. And so I don't know. I think if John had told me, you need to start going to AA for you, I think I would have packed my bags. So in Memorial Day weekend, we used to play softball, and we were watching a game and stuff, and my sister was up, and that last night we were at it's called the Office now, but it was a sports bar back then on Cortez, and we're drinking and drinking and drinking, and I don't know if you guys ever had this experience. You're drinking, but you can't get drunk. You just can't get that high. You just can't get that feeling of contentment and happiness. And so I was ordering at the table a glass of wine, and then I'd say I'm going to go to the bathroom, so I'd order a glass of wine at the bar, and I'd get that, and I'd go into the bathroom, and I'd do my business while I'm drinking wine. Then I'd come back, and then as soon as I sat down, I'd order another glass of wine. And it just kept going like that and going like that. And I get home, John and I get home, and I guess I passed out or whatever. But the next morning, I remember opening my eyes. And I'm not kidding you guys. I mean, I wish this was made up, but it really happened to me. I heard God's voice. And all she said was, "It's time." And I remember just nodding my head and said, "I know." Not, "Oh, thank God." Not, "Man, am I happy I finally have this solution here." So John came into the bedroom, and I said, "I need to go to an AA meeting today." John's like, "Oh, yes." And I said, dude, not right now. I got to go today, okay? Just calm down, because my head is like this big, and my tongue is like, and I'm just, oh, man. So my first meeting was called Happy Hour. Not happy. I wasn't happy, and it's totally different when you're the alcoholic going to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. I remember sitting down, and this was on it was a center that was over there on Gurley, called the Promises now, I think, or was. But I remember holding on to the table, and I was just shaking. And I was angry that maybe I had overreacted, maybe I can pretend I died or something, and they'll have to give me something at the hospital. Maybe I could run away. I'll just become a hobo and ride the tracks. So I couldn't quite stop shaking enough to get into the car by myself. So went to the meeting every single day. The second week I'm there, and I'm starting to wake up a little bit. I'm starting to see how people are talking to each other and all this stuff. And I remember I was holding this cup of coffee. And back then, we didn't have styrofoam and all that kind of stuff. But everybody had cups. And the lady comes over and she goes, "Hi, would you like to do some service work and help me in the kitchen?" Well, what service work? Why would I do that? She says, "Well, you're drinking coffee. And we in Alcoholics Anonymous have to be of service." "Oh, I'm not going back there. I know what you guys do." And you'll start talking, you want to know my name, you're going to want to know where I live, my phone number. See, I'm going to take this test, and when the exam comes up, I'm out of here. I'm out. I'll be gone. I'll be cured. I said, "I'm just fine." And she just looked at me and she goes, "Yes, you are." Man, I was just so like, these guys are hardcore, man. They're going to sneak attack on you, and they tell you, "Oh, we just suggest you do these." Kind of like, the parachuter, they suggested he pulls this thing off so the chute can come out. Well, no crap. Or he'll die. Yeah, okay, fine. And then they do this little thing in the 4-step in the 12 and 12. It tells us alcoholics are stupid people. Like, dude. That is so rude. We are really sensitive souls here, man. I don't need that kind of talk. I was just like, oh man. So then we didn't have caller ID back then when I first got sober, and people would call. "Hey Diana, you want to go to a meeting?" "No." "Yeah, okay, I'll pick you up." No, I'll meet you there." "Oh no, I'm just half a block from your house." They're evil. I'm telling you, man. They know what we're thinking and how we're going to try to get out of it, so they set you up, and so they take me to a meeting by myself with all these other women, and I'm just like, my life is screwed. And now, and every time they'd have the birthday thing, 1 year, 2 years, I don't think I got my first cake until I was 3 years sober. And only because of my pride, and because I didn't want you to know I didn't know anything. I had a big book I carried. I didn't read it, but I had one in case anybody asked me, the AA please. And then, who's your sponsor? Oh, you don't know him. I didn't have a sponsor. I just, isn't it enough I'm going to a meeting? And so I would do all that kind of stuff. And then one day, John and I were driving up to Groom Creek for our meet on Saturday night. And I said, listen, if something doesn't change in AA, I'm out of here. If something in AA doesn't change, I'm out of here. So we go up there, and one of the elders in the group, she raises her hand. She goes, I'm going to start a big book study, so that we can discuss what's actually written in the big book. We're going to talk about it and help people get through their steps. And so I raised my hand that I would do it because, okay, God, I'm going to give you one more chance to change this program. And it was me that needed to be changed. I went to that big book study. It was about a year long. I went and I did another big book study. I have been doing big book studies for the past 24 years. At least once a year we go through this. I'm telling you, if you don't have fun in Alcoholics Anonymous, you're not doing it right. I have more fun now. I've been at weddings where people ask me, what am I drinking? And I said, Diet Coke. Why are you having so much fun? It's because of you guys. You guys taught me how to do that. You guys taught me how to be able to be joyful around my family. I love how the book and the 12 steps in the 12 and 12 are so interconnected, and they tell you, be a family member among family members. Be a worker among workers. And it was, all that stuff was explained to me when I got a real sponsor. And this person took me through the steps, showed me what was taught to her, and I started getting the idea that I can be free from the bondage of self. You know how big that is? I just found out yesterday morning that another person in the program died from an overdose. And she was a former sponsee of mine. And I love her dearly. And the thing is that we never really respect the fact that this disease will kill us. Like that. I'd rather see somebody relapsing and keep coming than go say goodbye at their funeral. I don't care how many times you relapse. Through the grace of God, I have never relapsed. That doesn't say I'm not going to relapse tomorrow. All I'm saying is that today, I have a daily reprieve. And then I found out, when the only time they say daily reprieve, or that you're going to get a reprieve, is when you're on death row. That blew my head off. It was like, whoa. And then, of course, I'm at another meeting and somebody says, look around you. 10% of you is going to make it. And I'm looking at people, I'm going, well, I'm not going out. I'll take you out before I go out, man. I can't afford to go out. The funny thing about alcohol and me is that when I ingest alcohol, I get a British accent. And I love Downton Abbey, man. It's like those are my people. I would drive on the wrong side of the street on Whiskey Row. Hello, governor. And do this. Now, I'm freaking chubby little Mexican woman. I don't think they're going to be confused that I'm from London or anything. I tried to commit suicide on Whiskey Row. I laid on the sidewalk. On the crosswalk. I laid out there, and I had some girlfriends with me. I said, I just want it over. I just want this whole thing to end. And nobody would come. The street was freaking clear. It was busy 10 minutes before, and now there's nobody coming. I'm like, come on. And I just got tired, so I went back into the Western. It was called the Western at that time, next to the Palace, and just kept drinking. So I forgot about that idea. I'm not going to commit suicide in Crosswalk. I do weird stuff. I mean, I have gotten into fights. I have, I have a very small amount of patience for stupid people, which when you're drunk, everybody's stupid and not you. I lost my steering wheel. I got really drunk and went to my car. And I was in my car and I was just crying and crying. And these guys that I worked with, they come over and they said, Diana, what's wrong? And I am so in trouble. Somebody stole my steering wheel. They said, you're in the back seat. And I went, oh, thank God. Okay, I'm fine. And they were like, are you sure you can drive? And I went, absolutely, I can drive. Yep. I have been in Vegas and accidentally went into the wrong room with a key that opened it. So I go off and I flip my shoes off, and I'm, at that time, this is when women wore bodysuits, with the snappies there. And I'm in the bathroom, and this old man comes over and he has a slipper. He says, what are you doing here? And with indignation, I looked at him and I said, what are you doing here? And he said, this is my room. And I started looking at the counter, and there was, not my stuff. I was like, I'm really sorry, man. My key opened the door. I thought you were in my room. And he goes, no, you're in the wrong room. I said, okay, well, just give me a minute and let me fasten up here. So I'm trying to get these snaps on, and I'm like, oh, crap. So I run out of the room, and I realize that I left my shoes in there. So I knock, and can I come back in? He says, what do you want? I said, I want my shoes. Fine, go get them. And then I walk by, and there's this little lady with her little sheets up to here. She goes, why is she back? You do that walk, and you're like, so sorry, ma'am, I don't know how I did this. And she was like, the room was like 1210, and my room was 1410, because they didn't have 13 in Vegas. So you go to 14, and you'd think that would kind of sober you up, but it didn't. So I had to do the rest of Vegas and do that. But that was one of the worst things I ever did. And that's what happens to me when I drink, because when I drink, I get thirsty. When I have one drink, my thought is, where's my next drink going to come from? How can I get something? Who do I have to, if I have to go to a function, how do I get out of this? Who am I going to lie to? How do I make this up? And that's my whole thing. I was at a retreat one time that my sponsor told me that I had to go to alone, with no friends, nobody that I knew. So I go to this retreat down in Phoenix, Scottsdale. In your head, your alcoholic head will say, they're going to chop off chicken heads, and you're going to be dancing naked with the blood all over you, and you're going to be doing, hula dances and stuff, and this is not going to be good for you. Maybe you should just go and spend the night in another hotel and get drunk. So I still went to the retreat, and nobody did that kind of stuff. But that's what our thinking does. Our thinking tells us why we don't need to be here in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. There are so many before us who have shown us the way, who have taught me, who I've taught my sponsees, who have taught their sponsees, and so on. And we get to be alive today. We get to be free. We get to have relationships where, when I see my husband, I will point to him and say, that's my husband. And I know that my husband, when he sees me, will tell his friends, that's my wife. Not, oh crap, here she is. Because I'm that kind of person, I'm that kind of drunk that did that kind of stuff and probably deserved that kind of talk. I've been in so many different situations with sponsees, and one of the things that my sponsor told me was, you're not allowed to go to mixed meetings right now. said, you don't understand. Those women are like backstabbers, man. They're going to kill you. They talk crap about you. They lie about you. They're going to probably try to pick up my husband. They're going to, And she goes, no. Why don't you give it a few days of just going to women's meetings, and let's see if it's not you who can't be trusted. Well, it took me a few years to figure that out too. And I rarely go to mixed meetings. It's just not my thing. And mainly because I get to see all my sponsees at the women's meetings. But if you're a woman and having problems with other women, let me know. We can talk about it. I'll take you to a women's meeting with me. There's the thing about Alcoholics Anonymous is that it saved my life, saved my husband's life, and for a while it saved my son's life. He was sober for 13 years, and he went back out. He says he's not drinking alcoholically, but I can't judge that, man. I mean, that's his journey and none of my business. I just know that for me, if I start drinking, I'm going to end up in jail. And I don't want to do that anymore. And so what I'd like to do now for about the next 5 minutes or so is, does anybody have any questions that they want to ask about what to do in Alcoholics Anonymous, or what you're supposed to do or not do? Or any question at all? Okay, Lucy, do you have a...
Diana.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, once I come in here, what do I do to stay sober so that I don't go and drink again? I wasn't planted.
Well, Lucy, the answer is step one. And do you guys know what the principles are that we practice in all our affairs in Alcoholics Anonymous? Do you guys know what they are? The very first principle is honesty. If you can do honesty and you can do step one, that's all you need to do. Because everything else will fall into place. And every chip that we have says, to thy own self be true. If you're not going to be true to yourself, you're not going to be true to anybody. You're just going to be, what we've always been, is a bunch of liars and exaggerators. The second principle is hope. And hope is a desire. I hope I get to stay sober. Step three's principle is faith. And I'm going to stop there because faith is a belief. I know I'm going to be sober today. I'm going to have faith tomorrow if I always do these things. If I do everything they tell me in the big book, if I do what my sponsor tells me to do, if I show up and do service work, if I go and have quiet time, because sometimes we all need quiet time, man. We're in a rat race, and especially this last year with COVID, all the political stuff that was going on with the election, it kind of caused a number on me, but I haven't seen this many people in over a year. Unless I'm at the grocery store, which isn't very often. I'm going to go ahead and quit because that's all God's telling me to say, and I'm not real sure what I already said, but I really appreciate you guys. Thank you, Nan, for asking me to speak. Thank Mike Bennett. Thank you, John, there you are. And thank you just for listening. Thanks.
Not the first time she's been.
I've heard those words before, too. Let's thank Diane one more time.